Hello and welcome back to Off the Post. In today's episode we'll be discussing the next best manager for Tottenham Hotspur after sacking Ange Postecoglou recently. I want to say in the last couple of days or a week, depending on when this video gets released. But yeah, as always, like, comment, subscribe is very much appreciated, and I just want to say a massive quick thank you to all the supporters, all of the likes, the comments on my YouTube channel, on social media as well. I can't thank you guys enough. I feel like we've got 36 subscribers in about a month and a half maybe, so I just want to say a massive shout out to everybody who's subscribing, who's watching my videos. But yeah, let's just get straight into the video, shall we? So we've got a tier list ranking the best managers for Tottenham Hotspur. We've got 11 managers in total and we've got 4 options on the tier list. We've got perfect, we've got good option, doesn't fit, and Levy says no, computer says no. Okay, let's do a count how many times I say that term in this video, because it'll probably be quite a lot. Anyways, okay, before we get into the tier list, let me give you my thoughts on Ange Postecoglou being sacked. For me, I recently did say a few weeks ago that he should be given at least one more year at Tottenham, just because winning the Europa League, winning Tottenham's first trophy for 17 years, absolutely incredible scenes. You know, Tottenham fans were crying out for a trophy, and Ange Postecoglou finally delivered for Tottenham Hotspur. And for me, don't get me wrong, finishing 17th and, you know, losing 22 games, I'm pretty sure, in the Premier League isn't good enough by anybody's standards. Don't get me wrong, I do understand that. So for that reason, the sacking is justified, but I just don't think it should have been. I don't think he should have been sacked because of the emotions around it. Okay, you know what I mean? Ange Postecoglou, that one saying that he had, he always wins stuff in his second season, and he did win it. I can't believe it. And the other quote that he had, right, about him saying, you know, TV shows always get better in the third season. Well, I'm guessing this TV show has came to an end for Ange Postecoglou. I just can't believe it. For me, yeah, it's really unfortunate because he's had so many injuries last season, okay, and I just wonder, is the sacking a little bit premature? You know, are we gonna regret Ange Postecoglou being sacked because he never had his fully fit squad? We don't know where Tottenham would be with their fully fit squad in the league. They might have finished 12th. They might have done a Crystal Palace and finished 12th. We don't know. They might have finished a little bit higher. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. I feel like he should have been given another year, but at the same time, I do understand it. So I'm sort of sitting on the fence, but leave me alone. Let's just get into the tier list, okay? Okay, starting off with the first option, the first manager on this list, okay, is Areola from Bournemouth. For me, he's had a fantastic season for Bournemouth. They've had their highest ever finish in 9th in the Premier League, their highest ever points tally, and what they've done for Bournemouth has been absolutely amazing. Obviously, the season before this, he had Dominic Solanke scoring some incredible goals, and he could potentially link up back with him at Tottenham Hotspur if they did sign Areola. But I have one theory where he should just stay there for another season, just because he's doing some good stuff at Bournemouth, and if he could, you know, get them challenging for a Conference League next season, or even, you know, have a good cup run in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, I feel like that probably is the better option for his managerial career. I just don't know if he'll get given the time at Tottenham. You know, their fans now are going to have high expectations, and also, is he going to be able to cope with Champions League football? I'm not too sure. So I'm going to put him in a good option because I don't think he's the worst manager on this list, but I also do think there's better managers out there that Tottenham Hotspur should be recruiting in front of him. Moving over to the second manager on this list is Oliver Glasner for Crystal Palace. Obviously, incredible scenes this season for Crystal Palace, winning them their first trophy in the club's history, getting them an FA Cup. I can't believe it, okay. Beating some absolutely big teams in that competition, the likes of Fulham, Aston Villa, Man City. Undeniable how great this manager has been this season, Oliver Glasner. For me, his style of play does kind of work for Tottenham Hotspur, you know. They probably would need another centre-back in there, just because, for me, Archie Gray at centre-back, I don't like to see. I feel like he should probably be deployed more in that CDM position. He's more of a centre midfielder for me, but that is just my opinion. They've got decent fullbacks, don't get me wrong, Jed Spence, Udagi, but again, at the same time, I don't know, maybe Pedro Porro as well. Maybe they could get somebody better in there, I don't know, or I'm not too sure. The system isn't terrible. again, for Oliver Glasner, I feel like he probably will want to stay at Crystal Palace and help them fight in the Europa League because, you know, obviously he did win the Europa League with Frankfurt a few seasons ago. So I'm going to put him in good option, but I just don't see him going to Tottenham this season anyways. Okay, moving over to the next manager. It is Xavi Hernandez, from previously Barcelona manager and Barcelona legend back in his playing days. Absolutely incredible playing career. But for me, I don't think he has translated into the manager like he used to be as a player, let's just say, because, you know, in his first couple of seasons at Barcelona, he probably had the worst points tally in the last 15 years, okay? I think he had 70 points, and in the last 15 seasons, that's only happened twice. So that is a very bad stat in that sense for Xavi Hernandez, and his sort of style of play. Don't get me wrong, I just don't think it links up with Tottenham how they want to play either. It was a bit tiki-taka here and there. That's just the Barcelona way, isn't it? They didn't score enough goals. They weren't playing on the front foot enough for me. And with the players that Barcelona had, if they can't get them ticking, how is he going to get Tottenham ticking either? So for me, I don't think it's a good fit. Right, moving over to the next manager on this tier list, we've got Scott Parker for Burnley, okay? Don't get me wrong, he's a good Championship manager. He's had 3 promotions with 3 different teams in the likes of Fulham, Bournemouth and now Burnley. So he can get a team promoted, but he just can't keep them in the Premier League. He can't keep them in the division, and that's the big major worry for me, okay? He's not really shown it in the Premier League, has he? He's done some decent stuff with that Fulham team, but when they've got the players of the likes of Mitrovic, Lookman, Loftus-Cheek, Harrison Reed, Robinson, Elena as well, Anderson, some good Premier League players in there, okay? And if he can't get a tune out of them, I don't know if he can adapt to the high quality, the high pressure of that Tottenham job just yet in his managerial career. You know, give him a few years. Hopefully he can make Burnley a more stable team in the Premier League, like they were a few seasons ago. And potentially in a few years he might be linked to another big name in the Premier League. But at the current moment, I just don't see it working for Scott Parker. Moving over to another manager who's quite similar in a sort of sense of managing Championship teams, and that is Michael Carrick. Obviously, recently did get sacked by Middlesbrough, and I'm a little bit against that decision because I feel like he sort of changed their fortunes around ever so slightly in the Championship. And obviously, he's been given a very high transfer budget in the Championship. There's no denying that, okay? He's been backed by the board heavily, and to go back and finish, I'm pretty sure 8th last season, and then 10th this season is very disappointing. Not even to reach playoffs is very disappointing from that aspect. Don't get me wrong, but again, he's a Championship manager. I don't think Daniel Levy is going to go there and recruit somebody in the Championship. I just don't see that ever happening. He's had no Premier League experience, so to throw him in the deep end at somewhere like a Tottenham, I just feel like it could end up very bad for him and the club. So for that reason alone, Levy says no, computer says no. Okay, there we go. Okay, so two people in there, and again we've got another manager in Kieran McKenna. Obviously, fantastic job at Ipswich Town. Incredible manager in his own right. Getting him promoted and then having a bit of a underwhelming performance in the Premier League, okay? Getting relegated in his first season in the Premier League with a team we was expecting probably to do a little bit better and potentially, you know, stay in the Premier League. I was predicting them to finish 17th, and I feel like a lot of people were predicting them to finish 17th as well. They've got a super team now in the Championship, and they probably will be odds-on favourite to go and get promoted again straight away with some of their players. Even though they've lost their star striker, Liam Delap, recently, there's no doubt they're going to go back and recruit somebody else right in that striker position for me. So I'm going to put him in Levy says no, just because, again, didn't really work out. Fantastic manager, but he doesn't have that high-end experience in the Premier League. Moving over now to a former great of Tottenham, a former fantastic manager of them, and it is Pochettino. Okay, for me, when we talk about Pochettino, obviously he's the USA manager, and with a big competition coming up for them in the next 12 months, I just don't think Pochettino will leave, because it would just be a PR disaster from all of the, USA supporters, all of the owners there, and all of the people in that sort of team and whatnot. I just feel like it wouldn't work out for their situation, and I just don't think, what's the point of going back, okay, in any walk of life. Never ever go back, because it just doesn't work. It never ends out the way you want it to, does it? So for me, I don't think we need to talk about this that much, to be honest. I'm just going to put it says Levy says no, because again, it's pointless. Don't get me wrong, did some fantastic stuff. He broke through at Tottenham, didn't he? Had some absolutely incredible stuff. Almost won the Premier League at certain times in that season when he was battling out with Leicester. But you know, I feel like that team with like Harry Kane, Dele Alli, Heung-min Son probably should have done a little bit better than they did. They probably should have won a cup, shouldn't they? Because they had some well beaters in that team. But again, don't go back. There's no point, is there? Okay, moving over to another manager here. We've got Thomas Frank. When you talk about Thomas Frank, you've got to mention great recruitment, fantastic coach, and good in the media as well. When you think about Thomas Frank, those three words come to mind, because he is just an overall fantastic coach and a great person by all accounts. And his managing of that Brentford side over the recent years has been incredible to see. Okay, when you recently lose your star strikers in the likes of Neil Maupay, Ollie Watkins, Ivan Toney, it is always going to be hard to transition your team to score your goals. Obviously, tweak this system. We've got the likes of Mbeumo and Wizza scoring like 18 goals. Both of them scoring 18 goals in the Premier League. Absolutely incredible scenes. And you know what, there's probably other players that he's sort of lost and brought in along the way. And for me, I just think he's the perfect manager to take over Tottenham Hotspur in this current time, because he will suit that transfer model down to the ground, okay? Whether that's working with a sporting director, whether that's buying players himself, I feel like he probably will get a lot more right than wrong. And Thomas Frank, he's a good coach. He's very, very adaptable. You know, he's played so many different systems at Brentford, whether that's 3 at the back, 4 at the back. He's very tactically astute as a manager, as a head coach. And I really do like him. I probably do think he probably is the best manager out of all these 11 on the list currently. So for me, what he's done at Brentford, okay, obviously getting them promoted, keeping them a stable club in the Premier League, and sort of been a hard team to beat at times, and obviously big results against Manchester United this season and other Big Six teams as well. Thomas Frank probably is the perfect manager at this time. We've got 3 managers left on this list, okay, and the next one is De Zerbi from, I want to say, Marseille at the moment. Obviously, for me, he did some decent stuff at Brighton, but I worry about his temperament, okay. I just don't know if Daniel Levy and De Zerbi will get on, because everywhere he's been, there's always been an issue with the owners and the board. Because if he doesn't get enough backing in the transfer window, we know De Zerbi is going to kick up a fuss. And I just don't know how long Daniel Levy will, like it. I don't know how long he will give De Zerbi. I don't know how long he's going to put up with De Zerbi if it doesn't go his way in the transfer window, in the Premier League, in the cup competitions, in the Champions League. I just don't know how long, it will work out. I just feel like it'll always blow up back in your face sort of thing with De Zerbi as your manager, as we've seen in Brighton, and there's been mumblings in Marseille as well, where the owners aren't a bit iffy on him as well. So yeah, De Zerbi, I think it's a good option because I like his style of play. Again, got good recruitment. I don't know, when you talk about these two managers, Thomas Frank and De Zerbi, I don't know whether they've got the good recruitment skills or whether it's the team and the board behind them, in the likes of the transfer team behind them, the sporting directors and whatnot, because you've seen previous managers at those clubs doing well, bringing in decent players as well, and then they get a big move to teams like Graham Potter, for example, and they're not really working out for them at like a Chelsea. So it's all swinging roundabouts with these managers. It's similar to buying players, isn't it? It's all a bit of a risk, but it's more of a calculated risk with the likes of De Zerbi and Thomas Frank. Okay, moving over to our next 2 managers. It is Simone Inzaghi from Inter Milan, okay. Now, he has been sacked from Inter Milan, and I feel like this is probably our first world-class manager on this list, okay. Now, I think I recently did say that Inter Milan had a poor season. I feel like after looking at the stats, I want to sort of take that back a little bit, because I didn't actually realise how well they were challenging in the Serie A. They got 1 point off of Napoli in the Serie A, okay? And from anybody's standards, that is brilliant, okay? Especially with how well Napoli have done this season. But yeah, I do think it's a good option. I definitely do think it's a good option. I just don't know if it's a perfect option. Also, getting to that Champions League final, bottling it 5-0 against PSG. Oh my god. Oh my word. Have a word with yourself a little bit there. Again, could Simeone, Inzaghi, could they sort of fall into the trap of choosing a world-class manager and it's sort of backfiring on him? I don't know. Will his style of play suit the Premier League, suit Tottenham again, the sort of three at the back formation? Again, I'm not too sure. It could work, could not. It's a hard one, but it's between perfect and good option. Could his sort of, if you think about Inter Milan's season, finished second in the Serie A, they got to a Champions League final. So from that point of view, it is very good. But he's sort of fallen at the final hurdle. I want to put good option. We might revisit it at the end of the video just to see, to make up my mind, because I'm sort of sitting on the fence with it a little bit. Okay, moving over to the last manager on the list, okay, and that is Marco Silva from Fulham. Now, when we talk about Marco Silva, I feel like he's definitely developed as a coach over the recent years in the Premier League. He's sort of transitioned through a few different teams in the Premier League with the likes of Watford, Everton, now Fulham as well. So he's definitely been around the block in the Premier League, and he's got a good thing going on at Fulham. I just don't think he should leave there at the current moment, because they've got a decent team, decent recruitment as well. They've lost some big stars for Fulham, obviously, Mitrovic, Paulinho as well, some big player, obviously plays for Bayern Munich now. So they've lost some big players and brought in some decent players as well to replace them. And I don't think he should leave Fulham. I feel like he probably should stay there for another year and see where he is next season, because if they have some good recruitment in the summer, they could definitely challenge for a Conference League spot, a Europa League spot as well. So why leave now? I feel like he's a little bit low on the list compared to a Thomas Frank, a De Zerbi, a Areola, a Glasner, just because I feel like they've won something, they've won stuff in their career, they've achieved a little bit higher in the Premier League and whatnot. So for me, Marco Silva probably would be the last one out of the 4 to 5 I would choose from on this list. Okay, so if we're looking at a tier list just quickly, okay, we've got one manager who's the perfect manager for me, and that is Thomas Frank. I've gave my reasonings previously in this video, but I just want to say, just quickly, to give it a quick roundup: great recruitment, fantastic coach, brilliant in the media. I feel like those three things are the key factors into why Daniel Levy has to choose Thomas Frank as his next Tottenham manager, because he's a perfect fit, and I feel like he deserves that step up in his career to sort of see if he can, run it up with the big boys, the big six in the Premier League. We don't know, because, Brentford are sort of a mid-table team in the Premier League. So it's always a bit of it's always a bit of a risk, but I'd say it's a calculated risk, and I feel like it's a risk that Daniel Levy should definitely take. Right, I'm happy with this tier list. I was sort of sitting on the fence a little bit with Simeone and Zagne, the ex-Inter Milan boss, should I say now. But let me just end the video with asking some questions. Who do you think the next best perfect manager should be for Tottenham Hotspur? Do you think it should be Thomas Frank? Do you think De Zerbi would be a good fit to Tottenham Hotspur? Do you think him and Daniel Levy would get along? Do you think he would trust Daniel Levy to back him financially? I don't know, and whatnot. Do you think Areola would be a good fit? Should he stay at Bournemouth for another season? Should Oliver Glasner stay at Crystal Palace? Should Marco Silva stay at Fulham? How well do you think Scott Parker will do with Burnley next season? Do you think he's got a chance of becoming top manager? Do you think the likes of Michael Carrick? Do you think Pochettino might make a return to the Premier League? I'm not too sure, but let me know in the comments. But as always, like, comment, subscribe is very much appreciated, and I just want to say a massive thank you to all the support on my recent videos, all the likes, the comments, all the subscribers. It's been absolutely incredible, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.